All right. Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday night. We are going to dive in here to session number 12 of Ignite After Dark. As you're aware, we're in that lead follow-up phase. Last week, y'all got to learn about converting those contacts into those relationships that eventually are going to become business. And tonight, we're going to dig into how to follow up with those folks to really keep that relationship growing and keep yourselves top of mind. Before we do all that, as I'm sure you have seen in weeks past, we do have a few um, disclaimers, if you will, that we need to touch on. I will touch on them quickly. Feel free to check them out in your manual as well. I know y'all have seen these before, so bear with me as we just touch on those briefly so we make sure we are staying inside the lines. Before we do that, this is my first time being able to present to y'all, so I am happy to meet you all. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jamie Henley. I am the operations manager at Keller Williams Realty International, or Keller Williams Realty LLC, as we are now. So here at KWRI, I do a lot with the growth team to help market centers grow and to help agents grow their business. Before that, I was an MCA and an MCTT, so have some experience working more directly with agents as well as working more directly with leadership. And generally, what I find is what we're teaching to our leadership is really just a mirror of what we're teaching to our agents. They're just different clients. So this information that we learn through Ignite is going to be beneficial to growing your business regardless of where you are in your business and what exactly your business is. So if any of you are agents as well as leadership, think about it through both lenses. Okay? All right, like I said, a few things we need to cover real quick. We want to make sure you're being TCPA compliant. Again, the details about that are going to be in your book, but keep in mind that we want to make sure we're following those guidelines. All of this material that we're teaching through the Ignite sessions has been vetted and approved, so make sure you're not taking it and copying it and running with it. If you have any questions about any of the material and if you can use it, please feel free to reach out to the KWU team. They're happy to talk about updates or changes or how you can utilize the material in different ways as well. All right. So up until this point, you guys have covered a lot of material. Like I said, today we're going to dig into strengthening those relationships on those leads that we are converting, right? Before we dig in too deep, though, can I get a few people to tell me something impactful that you learned from the last lesson or in the time between then and now as you've been building that database and making that connection with those contacts? You can raise your digital hand so that I can call on you, and let's hear a couple of wins. Any wins from the material so far?
Just the dynamic database with the Canva, the new Canva platform. Granted, still working a lot with that. Haven't perfected it by any means, but that was very, very. In fact, I want to go back and watch that again. So.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Deborah. Anybody else have some wins from the previous sessions? All right, let's dive in. So again, we're in this lead follow-up phase. We're in that kind of third of the four phases, and we're talking about strengthening relationships today. This is what the basis of what we're gonna cover today. We're gonna look at establishing the right mindset to be able to build those relationships. We're gonna identify the goals that you wanna have there. We're gonna build a plan because building a plan is how you get where you're going. Then we're going to talk about those things and see what the most impactful things are for you. And then you all are going to go off into your daily success system where you are making those contacts, building those relationships, and really putting the effort into making these things that you're learning become reality. All right, let's dive in to establishing that mindset. You may have seen this in the shift. Gary says that you know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused attention. So let's get really clear on what that looks like. First, we're going to look at what the difference is between a lead and a contact. Sometimes people use these interchangeably. That's not necessarily the case. There is a distinct difference here. So you've all seen this before. What can you tell me about what you see here and what you've learned about the leads versus contacts model? If you can raise your digital hand so I can see you, or go ahead and unmute like Deborah did before.
Well, the lead is someone you're trying to win over. You're working on that person to become your contact and your client one day.
Yeah, ideally, right? We're hoping that all of our leads become
Right.
contacts and that all of our contacts someday will become our clients. Very good perspective. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So as we're looking at that, do you remember the name of this model that we're looking at? Does anybody know what that's called? This guy's in the MREA. It's the lead generation and database model, and it really shows that flow from getting the leads, right? Finding them through prospecting and marketing, getting them into that contact status. And then the follow-up from there is what we're really gonna dig into today. All right. Oh, sorry, I'm operating on one screen and usually I have two. So with those leads, we're talking to them or more at them, right? We're reaching out to them, we're prospecting, we are following up with them, but not necessarily having them engage with us in a two-way conversation. Leads primarily are that single one-way conversation. You are sending out the messaging, you are sending the mailers, you're giving them the newsletter, right? Where contacts have responded to that and you're having that back and forth between them, you're providing that value and they're responding and saying, hey, I find this valuable, hit me with some more of that, right? That's our basic difference between our leads and our contacts. And all of those live in your database, right? What we want to do is focus on building those relationships so that we can take more market share, right? We like to call this getting your unfair share. So the mindset that we touched on briefly is gonna start by thinking about today's conversation. So what we're talking about with people today, how we're connecting with them, just like we said, is going to become the contact and then our clients, right? If we're not in conversation with folks, then they don't think of us top of mind when it comes time for them to have that transaction and move forward with buying or selling or investing. So making sure that we're having those conversations constantly so that when the time comes, we are top of mind. Once you meet your contacts, you either do business with them or immediately or you don't. Either way, once you've met them, we want to put them in our database and stay in touch with them forever. And that's really the difference, folks, is staying in contact with people forever. You know, a lot of times we hear that term about that leads are no good. Every lead is good. Every lead is a good lead. It's just a matter of timeline and follow-up. We've got to stay in relationship with people so that when the time comes, they're ready and we're ready, and together we can move forward in that transaction. So as we are reaching out and following up with those folks, we want to identify the goals we have for each person. Now, these are not necessarily going to be the same for each relationship, right? So we've gotten to that lead follow-up and lead conversion portion. This is where we move from just having the conversations to getting that transaction, right? That conversion is where we're going to get them into a transaction, and that's going to take place by us continuing to have conversations. So what we're trying to accomplish is to convert those contacts to close business, right? That's everybody's number one goal. We want to convert business. That's how we make our money. That's how we're able to impact people's lives, is by getting people from just the relationship to the closing table, whether that is buying or selling or investing, right? Again, we have to stay top of mind. In order to do that, we've got to be in conversation with folks. When you look at the graph on your screen, this is also in your book. When you look at buyers and sellers, what do you see in those two charts on the screen? What stands out to you about those numbers below that brain?
They only talk to one agent.
Yeah, the vast majority of folks are only talking to one agent. They're not shopping, if you will, for agents. So you want to be that first agent they talk to. And what's going to make them think of you first to be the first person they say, hey, I'm looking?
If you stay in front of them.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jeff. If I'm already in conversation with you, then you just happen to say it in our conversation one day, or at the very least, when you think of real estate, you think of me. I am that person who comes up for you because we are already talking on a regular basis and we're talking about your real estate needs and I'm offering you value, right? Third goal is that we want to leverage that mind share for referral business. So what does that mean? What do we think when we think about leveraging mind share for referral business?
I mean, realistically, people aren't buying houses every day, right? So we need them to keep us at the forefront of their mind so that when they hear of like friends, family, business, coworkers, whatnot that are looking to transact, that we can be that person that, hey, I know somebody, hey, I've got an agent that was great.
Yeah, because not everybody we know is going to have their own transaction all the time, but you're exactly right. They may know somebody, and they may even know somebody who knows somebody. And as long as we're top of mind, then we've got that availability to be the referral for those people. If we're not top of mind, they're probably thinking of someone else, right? Um, I find this in conversations all the time. Like everybody knows a realtor. Pretty much everybody who you ever talk to knows somebody. So they've got their go-to person and they probably know more than one. So if you're not having the conversation with the people you know and the people in your database, somebody else probably is because everybody knows somebody in the real estate business. Okay. All right. Any ahas about that section and about those really, I'm going to pull them back up on your screen, really narrowing in your mindset to focus your energy on how to have those. It's not a big ask, right? All we're asking is to stay in conversation with these people. So any ahas about flipping your mindset to look at it from a just constant conversation instead of just asking for business when the business is right. And then for these goals, any ahas that y'all have about this first little section?
I think for me, I struggle with constantly adding value because you want to constantly be giving back and so you can remain top of mind and know what to say and so I guess that's the biggest thing is I'm trying to put my value on automation.
Yeah. Courtney, I hear that. I appreciate you being a little bit vulnerable with us there, that sometimes that the value doesn't pop into your head all the time. And I think there's two sides of that. Value can be the big things, right? It can be things like valuations of your home, but it could also be things like the neighborhood update when we send neighborhood nurtures and we're just talking about, hey, here's what's going on in your neighborhood. This many homes are on the market. This many homes have sold. This is the price range. And it doesn't even need to be that type of value. There's value in just saying, hey, how are you doing? Let's talk about your family. Let's talk about your goals. Let's talk about when in the future you might be looking to have that move conversation or that investment conversation. Those can be of value too, Courtney. So don't put yourself into too much of a box in trying to provide a certain asset of value. Remember that sometimes the conversation itself is the value as well. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Love that. And we're actually going to talk a little bit more about what some of those value adds can be. Bear with me as well, folks. I can't see the chat. Brad says sometimes that overwhelm can be, there can be a level of overwhelm in that forever. But that's a reality, right? Um, it's not necessarily the case that everyone we talk to is going to move in the next 1 to 3 months, right? We love those people. We love to talk to those people, but there's people in your database who are not going to move for a much longer period of time. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, where we're maintaining that conversation. But here's the thing, if we're in that relationship and we help them in a meaningful way, which of course is what kind of the whole next phase of Ignite is going to be, is how we really make that impactful relationship throughout the transaction. If we do that right, both the relationship and the transaction piece, then the next time they move, we also are probably going to be the person who helps them. And like Jeff mentioned earlier, we're the person who they're going to refer to their friends, right? Because it's we may have to wait 10 years for Courtney, but maybe Jeff is Courtney's friend and he's moving in a year from now and she's going to mention my name to him because I've been taking care of her for years, right? So while forever seems like a long time, it really pans out in the end that eventually those people become your longtime clients and your repeat clients and your big referral partners who are sending you additional business. I promise, forever is not scary. Okay. Any other ahas or questions about getting your mindset in the right spot and identifying those goals?
I think for me, I just over the last like week or so, even I just started to kind of embrace it more that uh I'm not a real estate agent. I'm a network hub.
I love
I'm
that.
I'm the person that it's my job to connect people and get like my buddy, the text that I'm doing right now is my buddy's wife's sister lives in Dallas. Her tree died. She needs a new tree, right? So now I'm going out like researching where to go buy this tree. Plumbers, electricians, contract, the whole thing. I am just the central point at which everybody networks around me.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, Jeff. You want to be the guy who knows a guy, right? You don't have to have all the answers. That's not your gig. You don't have to get the tree or set the door or fix the foundation, but you know a guy, right? I always like to be that person. I want to be the guy who knows a guy. I've got a guy for everything. And guess what? All of those guys also in my database, and I follow up with them also so they continue to send me their referrals when they go replace that tree, right? They replace a tree at a home and they're like, oh, yes, we're getting our home ready to sell. That's why we're planting the trees. We're looking for an agent. You want them to have your name top of mind too. So I love that. Being that connection hub is such a good point. Okay, I'm going to pull everybody up on my screen so I can see y'all. And we're going to do a little exercise together. I promise it won't be painful. And I promise we won't do it forever because we've established that can be a long time. So do me a favor. raise your hand if you've ever gotten into someone's database that you didn't intend to do anything with. Let me give you some examples of how that might happen. You've ever been in a drawing in your life. You have been in a raffle, right? You have gone to an open house. You've gone to a career fair. You, let's see, you got a coupon. Somebody said they'd give you a coupon if you put in your information, right? Yep. A few people done that. Okay. So looks like most of these hands went up at some point. So it looks like everybody has been put into somebody's database. I'm not shocked, friends, that we've all been in somebody's database. Now, and I want you to think, when I got into that database, was I looking for an immediate response on that? So was there an immediate outcome for you putting your name into that? Now, even when we're talking about like drawings or raffles, generally those don't happen right now. Boy, do we wish they would. But we've probably been in there for a minute, right? So everybody raise your hand back up because I'm pretty sure everybody said they've ended up in a database. Okay. So now put your hand down if you've only done that once. You've only ever been in like one person's database accidentally on purpose. Okay. All right. So what if you've probably done this, I don't know, 5 or less? You've been in a few databases. It's not a thing you do all the time. You're not a signer upper. No. Yeah. Okay. A few hands went down on that one. Okay. What if you've probably done this 10 times because you have 10 fingers and that's how many tickets you put in the things and how many drawings you've been to and how many times you were going to get the coupon? Oh, a few hands going down. You guys are better than me. What about, y'all think you might be in 20 plus databases? Who still has their hand up because they really love to join things and sign up for things and get free things? Yeah, me too. I feel great about this. I love that the rest of you have your hands up. It makes me feel better about myself. Absolutely. I'm on everybody's mailing list. I love to sign up for things. I love to win things. Do I ever actually win them? That's not the point, right? I like to win them. So I want to be in the drawing, so I've got a shot. So think about that when you think about your database, right? Okay. So and that's really just that idea of, Kimberly, I'm gonna lower your hand real quick. That idea that even with those drawings or those raffles and things, it wasn't an instant gratification. They and let's be real, they all followed up with you too, right? Even if you didn't win the raffle, then they sent you the newsletter and they were like, oh, well, did you see our timeshare opportunity? You didn't win the opportunity to go to the timeshare, but we still want to offer you the opportunity to go check it out. You just have to sit in our presentation for 2.5 hours. You have to have this amount of income. And they're really good at it, right? And they never stop until you like officially say stop. We want to be in that same boat, only relationship, not push-in ship, right? Nobody wants to be the push-in ship people. And a timeshare is what pops into my mind. Is there other industries that you guys find that tend to draw you in and get you into the raffles where you end up in the database, where they connect with you in a way that gets your name into their database? What types of businesses do you guys find that you end up on the mailing list in that way?
Well, I'm on Social Security and Medicare. I'm at that age, and there's so many people that send you where you get on a list. You're on a major list, and you get more information, and free dinner here to listen to this, and free dinner here to listen to this. So you can get trapped in a whole bunch of things. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Deborah. So the Medicare and insurance cycle and free dinner, right? So what else other companies or other industries that y'all get that type of messaging from, and what the offer is that y'all see there?
I've gotten trapped as far as like getting into digital marketing and getting the free like templates, like Pinterest templates and, like organization templates and just random free stuff to get on their mailing list, and they send you maybe monthly things where like, hey, I'm going live today, or hey, like you may need this for your business, or just kind of different, again, value props that they can keep you engaged. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the same thing, right? Where the value pieces are coming out, the newsletters, the dinners. Brad in the chat also said sports and entertainment, right? You go to any sports event, there's always a drawing for something. That's where most of the timeshare people get me, just so you're all aware, is they're going to give me things at sports events, and I like things at sports events. So there's all these different ways that they draw you in. Does anybody know what that's called? That thing they do or that you do to get an immediate response. Yeah, exactly,
It's
Jennifer.
lead capture, isn't it?
It's what generally, it's a lot of times, Deborah, what will lead to our lead capture. There was a lot of leading in that in that sentence, but yeah, Jennifer said it over here in the chat. It's called a MOFR, make offer for immediate response, right? Somebody also said a hook. This is a less cool, fun way to say it. We like to call them MOFRs, but yes, absolutely, a hook is the same basic idea. It is a way to get people's attention in a way that gets them into your database. So that's definitely something you guys have all seen, right? And then we, just like our clients, go into the database. And has anybody been followed up with any of those drawings or those raffles or the whatever they got their name into? Has that been going on for, let's say, more than a month? Anybody been followed up with for my name went in drawing more than a month ago? Can I get a show of hands? Anybody who's been followed up for more than a month? Yeah. Okay. Anybody, what about like 6 months? Anybody been followed up with for longer than 6 months? Okay. Anybody more than a year? Okay. Anybody more than a couple years? Okay. Has anybody ever been followed up with, oh, so true, the holidays are the worst. There's all kinds of things that I want right now, and I'm like, ooh, I want that, and they're gonna give it to me in theory. I'm gonna sign up, I'm gonna sign up, I'm gonna sign up. So has anybody ever gotten on that list and been followed up with, and then they send you a great newsletter, or they send you that coupon, or like Courtney said, that they're like, oh, and also because blah, blah, blah in our database, you get this free template. Do this thing to earn more. Has anybody ever gotten the thing? Like, you're like, oh, you know what? I do want that. I've ignored 64 of these emails, but number 65 really got me. Has anybody ever found the 65th email that really got them lit up and they went for it? I have. And Canva gets me all the time. They're always offering something super cool. And like, I don't know how I ended up in their database, but sometimes I'm like, man, that thing. Well, that's what we want to establish too, right, my friends? We're going to continue to offer communication and value and build those conversations, because at some point it's going to be the thing. And that thing may not necessarily be buying, selling, or investing in a home. Maybe it's Jeff's guy that he knows because he knows all the guys. Maybe he sends out a newsletter and he's like, it's time to winterize. And don't worry, I've got a sprinkler blowout guy, and I've got a guy who'll come wrap your trees, and I've got a guy who'll put the cellophane wrapping on your windows, right? And I'm like, bro, I live in Colorado. I need that guy. Thanks, Jeff. Right? So by providing that value, now Jeff's my guy. I know Jeff's got guys. So now when Jeff sends me a message, I'm definitely going to check it. He's always sending me things that are beneficial and helpful to me. And that's what we're trying to create as well. Do any of y'all have anything like that? Does anybody do a winterization? I know some of y'all are in California. I don't know if you winterize things there or not, but does anybody send like this time of year is a good time for that kind of
Yeah,
fall?
well, exactly. I just sent it out here for, because I'm in Minnesota, clean the gutters, all that, turn off the water spigots, you know, so the lines don't freeze, so all of that stuff.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Deborah, so that's a great touch, and it's hard for that not to be a value add, right? Nisha said she does a newsletter. Yeah, and I bet in that newsletter you do that same kind of thing seasonally, right? We've got in fact, my realtor sends me every year at this time of year. It's the winterization, and also he has a contact for snow plowing and people who will hang my Christmas lights.
Mhm.
I need those things. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to plow the snow, but I'm definitely going to have snow. Again, I'm in Colorado. That's a thing for me. So those value adds and that database are really a great marriage. Um, I'm going to reiterate because Jeff said it so eloquently. Be the guy who knows the guy, right? Have the network of contacts where you're the hub, and tell people that you have that network and continue to offer that value.
Well, and a real easy touch is this weekend when we turn the clocks back. I mean, I don't know if all you do, you know, the Midwest we do, so. Mhm.
That's a great point, Deborah.
Mhm.
And that's an easy one, right?
Yeah.
It's an
Just, you
easy
know,
touch.
remember to turn it's fall back and spring ahead, so. Mhm.
Yeah, and everybody's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has to do this unless you live in Arizona. They don't play that game.
Mhm.
But yeah, great simple touch that can be a value add for you to just remind them to do a thing they've got to do anyway. That was a really great pro tip there, Deborah. Okay, so I want to zero in. Let me get back to my screen here. And this is how we stay top of mind, right? Okay, so how do we leverage mindshare for referral business? We talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to ask you this question. Let's say who's ever moved to a new state or a new city or a whole new place, whether it's city, country, county. Anybody ever moved far away from where they used to live? Okay. So you get to this new place, right? I appreciate that some of y'all have moved. I've made a couple of significant moves, even across town sometimes because I don't want to drive too far. So you have to find a new somebody, right? So let's say for me, most recently, I had to find a new veterinarian for my dogs and my. When you're looking for, let's say, the new veterinarian, do y'all ever ask your neighbors, your friends, who do you ask when you are looking for a new somebody, whether that's a doctor or a veterinarian or whomever? When you're looking for somebody new, do you ever reach out to the people around you? How do you find that person? Okay, Jenny
Well,
asked her neighbors.
the next door app is really good.
Great point, Deborah. The Nextdoor or the Neighbors app, both great apps. Kimberly's asking the friends and coworkers. Tony's going to the coworkers. Jerry's going to simplify it and just Googleize it. Asking our friends. Okay.
Yep, time to start asking ChatGPT.
I don't know. They might tell me that I live in a whole different city. I've been getting some weird ChatGPT answers recently. Okay.
One thing too, in our office, well, we have done it and now we're updating it, creating a vendor list
Love that.
that you can offer to clients as well. So that you have a lot of options to give them, so.
Yeah, really good point, Deborah. And then the nice thing about a vendor list, this can be especially impactful for folks who are newer in the business, in the real estate business, or newer to the area. Maybe you're an agent and you have moved, so you don't yet have the network of all the guys who do the things. Having a vendor network at your market center allows you to have that kind of instantly. Without having to make all of the contacts and have those relationships over time, which of course you'll do, but you don't have them in the instant. Okay. So tell me, what other kinds of things have y'all asked? You know, I asked for the vet. What other kinds of services or folks have y'all asked the neighbors and the friends and the coworkers about? What other kinds of services or goods have y'all asked about?
Babysitter's a big one for young couples.
Babysitters. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good point. Yard work, mechanics, Doctors, barbers, that's a tough one. Barbers are one of those things I feel like is a very specific people, because people become best friends with their barbers on the regular. You got to find a good one. Okay, so lots of different places that we are reaching out and we're asking the question, right? So flip that around when we're asking for those, and we're finding those important people, right? We're gonna buy something new, or we have a service like a doctor, a vet, things like that. We're asking our friends. We want those connections. We want people's opinions, right? We trust the people around us. That's why we're surrounded by them. And here's, we all do it, right? I think most of us had at least something that we've asked for, and that's not a rarity. Almost 50% of buyers, people who are looking to buy a home, ask their friends or family or coworkers for a referral. Who do you know, right? Why do you think that might be super important when we're talking about buyers and we're talking about that referral? Why do you think it might be important that you are that referral based on something we talked about a little bit ago? Lean back into your lessons.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
would that be
because
important?
it's an easy conversation and keeping you top of mind.
Yeah, you've been kept top of mind for your friend or relative, and they pass that along. And why do you think that being the person whose name they give might be really important?
Because they do the first agent 75% of the time, correct?
That's it. That's it, Jerry. That's perfectly it. If most of 75, 74 or 75% of the time, people are only going to talk to one agent, I'm going to talk to the agents that somebody told me was good, not the one that I looked up on the internet necessarily, right? We want to be that number one. And if somebody already told them that we're good and they like us and care about us and that we've taken care of them, then we're going to be that first person that they reach out to. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just that whole idea, exactly like you said, of staying top of mind, not just for, I think this is an important distinction that when we think of our database, we've talked a little bit about this already, but when we're talking about our database isn't just the people who we are looking to help them buy or sell or invest in real estate. Your database is all of those people who do those things also. So that because they have a whole database too, and then you have the opportunity to do that back and forth referral. Like I mentioned it with the tree guy. The tree guy was replacing the tree because those people want to sell their home. Oh, great news. The tree guy knows me, so he's going to give them my name to help them sell their home. Right? Okay. So last week, y'all had a chance to start to build the foundation of a touch plan. You did, I believe you did that 19 to connect touch plan. Does that sound familiar? That you guys started to build that out last week? So 19 touches generally before we get that first back and forth communication. Yeah. Jennifer's nodding. She's with me. She did the thing. Okay. So that's really the foundation of what we call a 36 to convert plan. So 19 is really the messaging that we're building up to before we get that two-way communications. A lot of time, it can be up to 19 times, right? Oh, thank you, Jennifer. So 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to confuse y'all. So thank you for clearing that up. Okay. The 36 to convert plan is a program that kind of has different various touch points and impact points. And it's really intended to contain different, what I like to call mediums, right? Different communication mediums. You're talking about phone calls. Maybe it's that newsletter. I know somebody mentioned they send a newsletter, inviting people to events, sending market updates, providing home valuations or neighborhood updates, those types of things. What's important about these is that you are really trying to cater this to the people in, maybe it's the area you farm or specific to your market. For example, I mentioned I live in Colorado, and one of the agents in my office, he sends out that winterization newsletter, and he sends a newsletter, and then he's like, hey, he sends me a text, and he's like, hey, did you see the winterization? This is important so that you don't break your pipes. He sends that out. But if I lived in Florida, is that newsletter going to be impactful for me? No, nobody in Florida cares about snowplows. They don't. These are facts, folks. I lived briefly in Texas. They have these reflectors in the middle of the road. I didn't know what they were because that's not a thing. We have snowplows here, so we don't have reflectors in the middle of the road. People in most parts of Texas not going to be like, oh yeah, got to get my snowplow buddy, because I need to have that guy's number on hand to get out of my driveway, right? So making sure that the content that we're putting in our messaging that we're sending out in all of those different layers is going to be catered to that population. Potentially, you might even have multiple 36 to convert plans. Maybe you have one. Miriam, or it might be in Texas there. It sounds like Snowmageddon when you say we only needed the snowplow once.
We don't have snowstorms, we have ice storms.
Yeah, those are far worse. Ice storms are terrifying. I don't know how you people survive those things, and it shuts down everything.
And I'm just gonna say that one time Texas had all that snow, they had to borrow our snowplows from Minnesota. So there you go.
Minnesota's got them though.
We got a lot of them, yeah.
They know how to run those things. So keeping in mind, you are gonna want to cater that conversation. And one of the things that you might want to look at doing is catering that conversation within your 36 to convert plan. You might have one 36 to convert plan that is centered for members from your church community. And maybe you have one that's around athletics from your kids' soccer team and the volleyball team that you played on, those types of things, right? You might have different plans based on different populations. So keep that in mind as well, because you really can better target those audiences if you have a more specific plan, right? So just keep that in mind. All right. Okay. So one of the things that we do when we're creating a 36 to convert plan is this idea of layering. So it may or may not be a single smart plan. This might be multiple smart plans kind of stacked on top of each other. So I want you to think about this. So say you've got a couple of people in your database and they're on a smart plan, and that smart plan is already connected to that 19 to connect that y'all did a couple weeks ago, right? So you've already got those touches. They get, let's say there are me specific. They're talking about me. So they're already getting these 2 messages that are about who I am and how I conduct my business. So I'm already sending them those 2 messages through that 19 to connect plan, right? So I could just add a couple more touches to that smart plan, but then I can't use it for that population, right? Or I can create an additional smart plan to layer them in. So you understand, do y'all understand how we can use either a single smart plan? You can absolutely build out all of this in one smart plan, or you can kind of layer smart plans. Does that make sense when I say it like that? You can say no, it's okay. Okay, I'm getting some nods. The most important thing to keep in mind is not to get too technical, because I know that on Thursday you'll dig into that more, but just keeping in mind that when we layer smart plans, we want to make sure that their dates are staggered, because I don't want to send Lisa this email about, telling her about my business. And then on the same day, I sent her that text of, here's what's going on in your neighborhood. And I'm scheduled to give her a call. Right? We don't want them to all stack up like that. We want it to stagger over time. Okay. Makes sense to y'all? Good deal. Okay. So when we're talking about these 36 touches, yes, I'm going to say 36 touches, probably at least 15 more times. So real quick, let me ask, do y'all have an idea of how many touches it takes for us to get someone from the two-way conversation to being in, having a, oh my gosh, I've lost the word, friends. When they're in a contract and they're moving forward with that, about how many touches do you think that it takes to get them from the two-way conversation to doing business with you? Okay, Jennifer says 7. What was that number that I was going to say a lot of times? 13. Oh, Tony, 36. What, we should make a plan to reach out to that person 36 times, because that is approximately how many times it takes once we've started that two-way conversation to get them into a deal with us. Right? So that's exactly right. Tony, Courtney, thank you for that. It's that 36 touches. So that's why we're talking about this amount. That's the magic number. Given you're going to have people who it is that 7 and that 13, you're going to have people who it is 41, right? But on average, we're looking at 36 touches to get someone from having that to initiating the two-way conversation where they're replying and responding to a point where we are conducting a deal with them. Fair? Okay. So what is our objective? Hey, you know what, Miriam, that means that you've got the foundation. You got the foundation is laid, only 34 more to go. We're going to help you build that plan out so that you are always top of mind and you've got those different value pieces that you're adding. Okay? So our objective when we're building this 36 touch plan is we're going to build our connection with that person. We're going to deepen our relationship, right? By staying in communication with them, we are getting to know them. We're finding out more about who they are, what they want, what their aspirations are. And the second part of that is that we want to connect with them in a way that's going to get that response, right? So number one, we want to get the information out of the conversation so we get to know them better and we have more information to better connect with them. But number two, we want to engage in a way that initiates that response so we can get the information. Probably should have switched those, guys. Let's say number one, we want to communicate in a way that gets the response. And number two, we want to be able to elicit the information. That's kind of the point of the conversation, is to get to know them so that we can best serve their needs and best be aware of their needs to help them in the future. Okay? Okay, so I want you to roll back to last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. Do you remember those 6 connection questions that we ask folks to find out what's going on in their world? Does anybody remember any of those questions? I think Deborah's flipping back in her notes. Well done, Deborah.
Forward.
Say that again, Jeff.
You talking about the forward act?
Yeah, so we can totally use Ford for this. This is a good one. Generally, there's 6 connection questions. Ford covers them for the most part, right? So when we're talking about Ford, what's the F?
Family.
I see the lips moving, but I didn't hear you. But yes, indeed, it is family. In fact, I see some of your family walking behind you in your screens right now, right? So we could ask about them and get to know each other. Okay. What about O? What's the O in Ford?
Occupation.
Yeah.
Occupation, right? Gotcha. I understand, Jennifer. Occupation, what do they do? What's going on in their work world? Are good things happening? Are bad things happening at work? Sometimes that's a lot of times people like to be able to share because they don't necessarily have an outlet. They can't talk to the other people at work about what's going on at work. So making sure we're connecting on the occupation level, that's another kind of in for us to start a conversation. What's the R in Ford?
Recreation. Yeah.
Yeah, what y'all doing? Maybe it's those sports we talked about. Maybe it's the church we talked about. Maybe your recreation is that you are going for a napping record and you are on par to hit it, right? If y'all were doing that, you probably wouldn't be here with me though. So no napping records for you, right? What are they doing for fun and entertainment outside of work? I'm going to stick a pin in this one for a minute because I think generally as a country, we are very drawn to that O. We love to talk about work. It's kind of our default of like, hey, what do you do? What's going on at work? So dig deeper into the F, into the R. Ask them what they're doing and what's going on outside of work because it's just a deeper connection point because it's not necessarily something that everybody's talking to them about, right? So keep that in mind that don't zero in on the O every time. Make sure you're asking about these other things. Okay. And then what's the D? What's the D in Ford? Dreams. I see your lips. I knew you said it. Which you would get if you were going for a napping record. But that's not necessarily the kind of dreams we're talking about here. When we say dreams as we're talking to folks, what does that mean? What are we talking about when we ask about people's dreams?
Goals, plans for the future.
Yeah. Aspirations. What
Yeah.
do this is what you are doing. What do you want to do? Okay. And then this is where we can kind of dig a little bit deeper with those 6 connection questions, asking them who they are, right? That's these Ford things, that's a good solid basis for who they are. Then we can ask them, what do they want or need to do, right? What are you trying to accomplish here? Okay.
Well,
Why?
are you talking about the big why? If you find out what their big why is? Mhm.
You might. And Deborah, that's absolutely something you can start to dig into. That's usually not something that happens kind of on the front end of the conversations, but as we're following up with these people, when we're getting 10 and 20 and 36 touches in, developing that conversation about their big why can be a really, really impactful thing. And it's one of those things that you can even, like we do all the time when we do trainings on the big why, you kind of peel it down layer by layer, right? And that's part of what the 6 connection questions help you do is like whittling it down. What do you want to do? How are you going to get there? How can I help you get there? What kind of timeline are you looking at for when you want to achieve said thing? Those are questions to kind of zero in. So if you start with those Ford questions, the 6 connection questions is kind of taking each one of those a little bit deeper, right? Especially when we're talking about dreams. What do you want to do? How are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? How can I support you as you do that? Right? Helping them get where they're going. Okay. So I want to remind you about what we talked about a little bit ago when we talked about the MOFR. Somebody tell me again what MOFR means.
Make offer for immediate response.
Make offer for immediate response. We just love acronyms. It's what we do here. If y'all have been at Keller Williams for longer than 6 seconds and you have not heard an acronym, y'all doing it wrong, right? There's one over here. Look, oh, it's over here. Look, we started with this one. Okay. Yeah, we love an acronym. So MOFRs, make an offer for an immediate response. Now, what pops into your head when you think of a MOFR? No wrong answers. So hit me. What pops in your head when you think of a MOFR?
Oh, just offering to give them, say, a free CMA, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me show you what's going on and compare your home to the area around it and the other homes in the area that have sold recently. I would love to offer that for you.
QR code.
QR codes. Oh man, Brad, I love that you brought that up because a QR code absolutely like quick response. That is literally what it's called. It doesn't have to be. I love that Deborah went with a value proposition, right? That mofer is a, hey, I'm going to get you the thing. In the chat, we have, now's the time to act, right? There's the urgency in a mofer. And Brad bringing up that it doesn't necessarily have to be a, you need the thing, do the thing now. You can kind of display it in a way that's like the offer, right? So maybe Deborah says, I'd love to run this comparative market analysis for you. Scan the QR code to get there, right? And what's the QR code going to lead to? Well, it's going to lead to her database, of course, right? That's where we're going to collect that information. Or if we're reaching out to folks who are already in our database, maybe we're sending them the questionnaire of the details of their house, right? But that QR code is a really good way to do that because it's easy. It's easy for me to do the response. It's easy for me to say yes when Deborah says, "Would you like me to compare your value of home to those around it?" Yeah, I want that. Is it Zedinka said, now's the time to act. I want to do it now because she said, like, if I don't, I'm going to miss out on something. That slight height that you feel when somebody's like, you got to do it now, like slight anxiety, but not like the scary kind, just the fun kind. That sort of reaction is generally what a mofer brings about. Um, but you guys really, I love that you didn't say necessarily that it has to be something specific to buying, selling, or investing in a home, right? The mofer doesn't have to be act now and I will sell your home at 2%. It can be act now and I'll get you a discount to use my tree guy, right? I don't remember who mentioned the tree guy earlier, but he's been very helpful in this whole session, right? So keeping in mind that that mofer doesn't have to be fully centered on buying, selling, or investing in homes. It can be just something to get the response, even if it's something generally when we're using a mofer, it's that value add. But the other thing that you can wrap a messaging with is just a question, right? So you provide the value add. The mofer might be, right, now's the time to act, or scan the QR code, but it also could be, how do you think that might impact your, I don't know what we're offering at the moment, but how do you think that might impact your dot, 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 right? Ask a question at the end to get the response. So you've got that mofer option where you're creating that slight height where people want to respond. And then you also have the option to just slap a question on the end and say, hey, how does this impact you? Or what do you think? What do you think the value of your home is? Maybe as a question, depending on what the messaging we're sending is. But ending with a question can have that same kind of impact of like, okay, I need to respond to this. You've asked me a question, right? So both of those components can be a really good way to kind of get that hook a little bit to get the response so we are continuing the relationship and building that in conversation with folks. Does that make sense? Everybody knows how to use a question, right? Raise your hand if you know how to use a question. I was just checking if anybody was taking a nap yet. Thanks. I'm glad to know that you all know how to use those. Has anybody utilized mofers before? Is that something y'all have used in your business? Can I get another hand raise? Yeah. So some folks have definitely have used it. And Brad, I would say your QR code is probably a mofer in most cases, right? So if that's something that y'all have not yet explored in building a mofer, and sending that out to your folks, we're actually going to help. What does that look like, right? We're gonna help talk through some of those different options of what that might look like. So as we do this, this is one of those unmute games that y'all get to throw stuff at us, which is way more fun. So what we're gonna do is I want you to think for a minute about, just a few seconds really, think about mofers that are not necessarily like boom pow mofers. They're not that like put your name in the drawing and we're going to draw in 20 minutes. It's not that kind of, it's a more indirect, right? Where we are giving them something down the road or getting them connected to something else, but it's not like an instant, you're going to get a thing when you do the thing right now. Does that make sense? It's a little bit longer down the road, more indirect in that make offer for immediate response. So they're gonna respond now, but not necessarily immediately get the big shiny object. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions? Okay, I'm gonna let you guys think about that. And then as you come up with those different options, go ahead and unmute and throw them out at us. What are some different ideas y'all have for those mofers that are not do the thing, get the shiny object? They're more do the thing, I'll get you connected to a thing, I'll get you the shiny object. A little bit more indirect.
You mean lenders for refis? I don't know. Like, is that
All right. I like where you're headed with this. So what could be the offer there that could help us get connected? And I would say lenders could potentially go, right, we could go up front and we could also go with the refi. So what might that mofer look like? How might that be worded?
I've got one, it's not necessarily what you're talking about, but what we do at our office is we have people call in to answer 3 random questions. And then their name is entered into a drawing entered into a drawing. So you make that contact, you have a conversation with them. And sometimes it's, forward questions. Sometimes it's usually not real estate related, but then there may be one question that has something to do with that, but we don't make it about that. It's just a fun thing for them to call in for.
Yeah, I love that. Also, super creative idea. I love that you guys are doing that. Just ask some questions and then offer what you've got available, right? Which doesn't necessarily have to be directly buying, selling, or investing. Maybe it's we can kind of combine Michelle and Jennifer here. You call in and you do the 3 questions, and we'll provide you with our private vendor list that we've already vetted, and we know that these folks there's probably a tree guy on that, right? These folks have been vetted. We know that they are well-respected businesses and they're going to take care of you. Deborah says staging for their home, right? Maybe, Deborah, we combine both of those and we say, if you do the thing, right? Reply back now for free staging for your home, and we'll enter you in a drawing for $1,000. Okay.
That $1,000 giveaway is what we do at our office. And basically what it is we, so 20 agents pay $50 and that creates the $1,000. And then you send out invites to your database that they call you between, I think it's like 3 hours. It's like from 1 to 4
Okay.
on Thursday, whatever. And anybody who calls in and you have a conversation with, you ask them what, where they're at with real estate, do they have a referral, whatever the case may be. And you put their name in this drawing and we draw at the end of that 3 hours for that $1,000.
I love that. Great idea. And Jennifer, it sounds like does something similar where they've created a reverse bold. If you call in and have the conversation, you get put in that drawing for a Yeti cooler or, excuse me for just a minute. I want to circle back to what Jeff said because you specifically mentioned the idea of refinancing. So maybe you say, hey, you know what? Interest rates are going back down again. Give me a call now and I'll get you connected with my specialist who can help you refinance, right? Where we're making that connection. So love that. Brad said new homebuyer seminar invites. Maybe if they reply now, they can get into that home buyer seminar at a discounted price, or maybe they get in for the FREE word. You know, getting that response and that excitement, that little heightened little anxiety piece where they get that eustress that makes them push into action to get things going. Now, the flip side of that, like I mentioned, is if we didn't want to use a mofer, maybe we're uncomfortable with them. We feel like they're too direct. Also, being direct, not a bad thing in this world, but maybe you're not comfortable with those yet. The other thing we can do that's exactly, has that same kind of concept is, like I said, the questions. So, for example, I'm gonna read you a couple sentences as mofers, and I want y'all to unmute and tell me how could I change that and just make it so it ends in a question that would initiate a response. Okay, so all right, hey, this awesome house just came on the market. You're looking for a home in this or if you're looking for a home in this neighborhood, give me a call right away. How could we reframe that and just end it in a question to get the response as well?
You could tell them that you found a house that you think they would be really interested in, and you would like to talk to them more about it and see if it fits their needs.
Yeah, Lindsay, exactly right. I might say, hey, this great house just came on the market. I think you were looking for a home in that neighborhood. Would you like me to send you the information? Like, do you want to know how many beds and baths it is? Because you already know you wouldn't say this to somebody who's not looking for a home in that neighborhood. But so yeah, do you want some additional information?
Well,
I know you're
I
looking
think
for
you
a,
could add there too, it fits your needs because you're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever, because you probably know what they're looking for at that point in time.
yeah.
So you could say this hits, say it hits 3 of your 4 wanting points, you know what I mean? And maybe not all of them, but it's close, so.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think the other thing that you can take that is to even take it and layer it, maybe add an additional there is, hey, you're looking for a 3-2. This one just came up. Do you want me to send you a list of the details on this one and other 3-2s in that neighborhood? So that they have the opportunity to look at more, especially if that one is the one that best aligns with what they're looking for. You can kind of give them some other options as well. Okay. All right, here's another one. Home prices in your neighborhood seem to have gone down. Would you like me to pull a report for you on what your home's value looks like today? Nope, dang it. I was trying to say it as the mofer. You guys were going to do the question, and I got ahead of you, and I asked the question. So now you guys have to make it a mofer. Okay, so home prices in your area have gone up. Would you like me to pull your home's value? How might I just ask a question there? Nope. How might you make that a mofer? Y'all, it's getting late. Getting late.
Do you know what your home is worth?
Do you know what your home is worth? Call me to find out now. Right? Yeah. Can be super simple. You can do the question approach or you can do the mofer approach. And honestly, you guys, sometimes mofers are questions, right? So keep that in mind as well, that they're not mutually exclusive either. Okay. So as we are, oh, here we go. Sorry, I see some more over here. Find out how much equity you have in your house. Yeah, call now to see how much equity you have in your house, or text now, or scan my QR code, or whatever. Do the thing. Do whatever the thing is to find out how much equity you have in your home. Okay. In which case, we're probably going to get them connected to potentially that refi guy that we've got in our back pocket as well. Okay. Okay. So y'all, I believe you have your participant guides. When you go to the 36 touch plan page, they put that in here just because I have to teach this at night and my tongue is already tied in knots. They were just trying to make sure I'm not getting the napping record. Okay. All right, so the 36 touch plan page in your participant guide, I'm not saying it 3 times fast, don't ask. Take a look at that. And I want you to take a few minutes to just start to, as you're looking at that page and it's giving you some ideas, start to build that out. So you've already got that foundational piece from the 19 touches to connect, right? Start with that as your foundation. You've got a couple of touches there. Build the next level where you're incorporating several different types of touches. And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to kind of lay some out. Couple of things I want you to make sure you do. Make sure you're using different mediums, right? We love an email and we love a newsletter and they're easy peasy, but don't lean on those entirely. Make sure you're varying up the communication method as you're starting to build more of those, okay? You don't have to build the whole 36 touches, but start to write down some ideas that you have that might be good touches for your database, okay? Again, I'm going to give you about, let's do 5 minutes and see where everybody's at, okay? So that's going to bring us to 8:16 or 7:16 if you're Mountain or Pacific. If you're somewhere else, it's later than that. All right, I'll give you just another minute here. Okay. Go ahead and finish the last touch that you're writing down there. And what I want us to do is let's talk about some of those touches that you're looking at. So, one of the things that's important as we build out a 36 touch plan is that we get the basics of the details. I promise that makes sense. Kind of a plan of action on what that's going to look like for us. We want to set that up now so that when we implement a certain touch down the road, it doesn't, we don't get it halfway there. This is especially important, especially when we're looking at events, because we want to have those event context built in there. And events are not just, we're having Pi Day, come to it, right? It's not like it just automatically happens. There's additional pieces that roll into that. So if y'all would tell us some of the ideas that y'all had for some of your 36 touches. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about some of those and then we're gonna take them a level deeper, right? So for example, when we're looking at events, maybe you do, you hold a homeowner or a first-time home buyer seminar every year in June. You do it because that's National Homeownership Month. And so every year you do this, you want to identify where you create the event. How do people sign up for that event, right? How do you're going to have food because people come when there's food. So how do you connect vendor, like, are you going to get vendor sponsorships for the food? What kind of messaging are you going to send out? Is there a flyer? Is there a Facebook invite? So especially on events, there's several steps that go into that event. It's not just a ta-da, it happens. So we want to talk about things. So for our first time home buyer seminar that we're going to do, we've identified when, right? We're going to do it in June because that is National Homeownership Month. It seems like the right time to do it. We are going to, we're going to use, let's say we're going to use Google Calendar invites where people can sign up through the link for the event. And then we're going to send that calendar link to their calendar. So it goes automatically on their calendar. And we're going to have my favorite lender is going to come and sponsor food for that event because food makes more people come. And they're going to bring that at this time, right? So we're identifying these little pieces. I'm going to get messaging out for this event a month in advance. I'm going to start my campaign. I'm going to post this on our Facebook group. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to get an ad in the local newspaper so that so word gets out on this. Start to whittle down on those details. That's what we're going to do here in a minute. So I want you to get those juices flowing about that. But right now, go ahead and come off of mute and tell us some of the ideas you had on the basic idea. Like, what is the touch for you? What are some of y'all's touches?
I can answer that. I struggled with this one or not this one necessarily, but talking about like not feeling salesy and hosting events just to show that you're an agent or whatever. Like it was a tough mindset for me. I'm a newly licensed agent as of May, so I did all the classroom training. And so I don't know, it took me a minute to get over that. And what's my authentic style that I want to bring to this career that doesn't feel salesy? And the advice that was given was, well, what do you like to do? What are you passionate about? What are you, and connect your work to that, connect connections to that. So for me, I used to throw a cystic fibrosis fundraiser every year because my son has CF. He's older and he's fine, but we used to throw a huge party every year. And it was for obvious reasons. I wanted to donate money to the foundation. And I love doing all of it. I made tons of connections. And so one of the things I want to start again is hosting a fundraiser at my house and tying that just to connections with people and that it's for a good cause. And that would be one of my touches, which would likely lead to many touches with people. So I don't know if that's what you had in mind for an answer, but hosting a volunteer event that is something that I'm passionate about that can help me make connections, but genuine ones.
Man, Jenny, I think maybe you ought to just teach the rest of this class. I mean,
Oh gosh, no.
that was gold.
Oh, good. Awesome. I'm
I-
glad I'm not off track.
And I think, you know what, I really love that you brought up the idea of that salesy feeling because you are not alone. That is absolutely something that lots and lots of agents have, that feeling of like, I don't want to feel salesy or pushy. So you just lean into your authentic self, right? So for you, cystic
I know it's hard to
fibrosis
say.
is close to your heart. Again, it's that evening time that I sound really great. And so it's something you care about, you're passionate about. So lean into that. You just create the event. Sounds like it's something you've already done in the past. There you go. There's your event, right? Maybe you're a hiker. And so you create a community hike where you hike and you pick up trash on the trails. So you're benefiting the community, you're getting people together, right? It's just a thing you like to do, but because you're organizing it and make those connections, then you're relating to those people, right? I love
Yeah,
that.
and I forgot to add, and this is where the salesy part, not salesy, but what the instructor said was all of your emails are coming from, your whether it's your personal account that has your Jenny K agent information or KW email with your photo and your website. So like every time you're communicating about this event, you're in their face with being an agent, you're just not saying it. It's in your signature, right? So that felt like super comfortable to me because I'm not even talking about it. I'm just hosting an event and something that I care about, right? But my name it's one of the touches. It might be multiple touches. I got to do invites. I got to ask people to help me with the potluck. I got to, like, all the coordination is a touch, right? With my name in the email.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Really a great point. One of the things that I do, one of the programs I work with is the K-Score Scholarship Program. And so every time I have somebody save my phone number, I have them save it as Jamie Henley, K-Score Wizard. So for that same exact reason, every time I reach out to them, regardless of what I'm talking to them about, I could be talking about the snowplow thing, right?
Mhm.
Every time I reach out, it says, oh, this message is from Jamie Henley, K-Score Wizard. So again, same, just like you're saying, Jenny, with the signature line and that specific email address. That's one of the things I do so that when people save me in their phone, even, then that's what they think of when they think of me.
I love the phone idea. I need to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So maybe you're Jenny A, real estate wizard. I mean, you may not be a nerd like I am, but you can use that if you want.
I have a slogan. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I do have one. I'm going to make it in my contact card. Thank you for that idea.
Yeah, save that in your contact card so that when people are getting messages from you, it's coming up in that specific way and they're thinking of you when they think of real estate. Love that. Really great points. Thank you. Who else has a touch that they can share with us?
I use my engraving business and vinyl decal business, and stuff I engrave, I put my logo on the back of. And so I do that a lot as gifts and raffles at open houses.
Okay, love that. So it's kind of dual-sided there, right? Where you're getting kind of like Jenny mentioned the marketing for that business without marketing that business, because your name is on things and you're providing the shiny object, right? The at open houses there's the giveaway and at those different events there's that giveaway. So great, I love that. What is Lindsay, what's the touch that you for your real estate business would it be the open house?
So it's the open house and then the follow up that that person won the raffle. And then I do customized like wood engraving pictures for them. So they get to pick out a picture and they tell me the meaning and that type of stuff. And then I get to go deliver it to them. So that's another touch.
Okay, so a raffle, I would guess, I don't know, but maybe you don't do the raffle at every open house, but a couple times a year, maybe you do the raffle, or 4 times a year you do the raffle. Because there's a lot of work that goes into some of those bigger type things, right? Is that kind of how
I
you use
usually
that?
do it once a month.
Okay, so once a month. So maybe not every single open house, but at that once a month, then you have that additional benefit. Love that. Great touch. Love it. All right, let's get one more. What other touches are y'all using?
Well, I do a Santa Claus event every year, and this is going to be my 9th annual, coming up here December 6th. And of course, I send out the email, save the date, and then send out the hard copy. And throughout the year, all the time, especially the ones that come every year, because I send birthday cards and anniversary cards every month to whoever has a birthday or anniversary. And I always put a little note in there. Remember December, I always keep reminding them and keep reminding them. So.
I
Mhm.
love that. Deborah, I love that I love each one of those things that you just mentioned, but I specifically love that there is one event that's like the event, right? This
The
is
event,
this
yeah.
is the thing that I do. I am Deborah Miller, the Santa Claus lady. Like
Yeah.
that is your thing that you really leaned into,
Mhm.
probably because it's something you love and you're passionate about. So that is a great way to incorporate it, right? Just
Well, and they all get a centerpiece when they come, so they know that, and they get that I have a photographer there and whatever, so they get a link to get the pictures, and most of them make their Christmas cards, and then they send me their Christmas card from that photo. So
I love that.
it's gotten really big over the years. So, and it's the same Santa Claus every year.
I
So
love
we
that.
have
That's
the
fantastic.
same Santa Claus. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I love the idea of just reminding them in each of your touches about your one big beautiful touch that whatever that is, maybe that's in the spring, or maybe that is you're doing the Santa scene.
Mhm.
I love the idea of adding that in there. Really a great tip there.
Mhm.
Jeff, do you have one? I saw you come off mute, my friend.
Actually, I was just thinking of even just something as simple as that biweekly neighborhood nurture that just at least using the automation that we have available to us to stay front of mind in the sense that, I'm able to show them updates on their, and in fact, actually, I just sent it out to a couple people while we were doing that.
I love that. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the neighborhood nurture. We have both a bi-monthly and a monthly plan in it's already in the the smart plan library database. So you guys can pull those out of there. As long as you have an address in for people, you don't have to identify their neighborhood. That automatically happens. And it just tells them kind of what's going on in their neighborhood. So really a great point. Anything we can automate to systematize things and use that leverage that we have at our fingertips. Really a great additional touch. Love that. Thank you so much, Jeff. Okay. All right. Jenny, I see, sorry, there's a few over here. So Zdenka Dog Block Party. I'm fascinated. This sounds like the greatest thing that I could ever possibly go to, and I very much want to go. My email address is jamiehenley@kw.com. Feel free to invite me. Gardening in the community. Great ideas. I think, you guys are starting to think outside of the box too, right? About things that you care about and you like to do. I think that's the easiest and the best way for you to get the most value to your people and from the event is not to make up some, I'm not going to do car wash day. I don't like car washes, right? That's not going to be a good event for my people. It's not going to be a good event for me. So make sure that you're picking something that you have a passion for when you're leaning into, especially with the events. Jennifer has done Yappy Hour. This also sounds like it could be an event. Same email. Invite me to that. ice cream socials, poinsettia giveaways, movie nights at the entire movie theater, or you could even do those on a, get a projector and a sheet and do it at the market center. You could create your own outdoor movie theater that way. Love that. Great ideas. Thank you all so much. Jenny wants to talk briefly about open house ideas to get contact info. Okay, let's do this, Jenny. I'm gonna put a pin in that and put it kind of in our parking lot. And we'll come back to it. Does that sound fair?
Yes, and I'm even open to an email, like a list of here's some stuff you could try. I've hosted several, and again, I'm new, and I just cannot close the deal on getting people's information. Whatever. So I'm open to a list later, or however you want to handle it.
No way, man. We're going to do it with these experts. Look at all the experts on this screen. We're going to ask them about it. Let's wrap up. We've got a couple things left, and then we're going to come back and talk about this open house situation, okay? Okay. And Tony's doing coffee break for vets. So I love that. Like another community who, relatable community, great connections to be made there, and good connections for you to be able to have a guy for, right? If you have a VA loan specialist, this might be a great place to plug them into. Love
I
that.
have a question, and it is also a touch. So I'm on the Lake Association board in my community, and so I did this to help the board and the association. But in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, I should have somehow to like show that I'm an agent, or what do I do? Like, so it was a firehouse open house. And then they had like like the community board was there, the parks board, like it was just a small town thing. And I felt gross about having my business cards on the table. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know how to bridge the gap from like, that wasn't my event, but I was there trying to represent the board I'm on. And it's a community thing I care about. How do I not be gross about like, hey, do you need an agent? Like, this just felt weird. And I couldn't come up with an idea to like, again, close the deal and connect with people.
I
didn't
love
know.
that. So a couple of thoughts that jumped into my mind. Number one, I would wear my name tag.
You don't think that's gross? Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, but that feels like I'm saying that with love. I don't know if I can bring myself to do that at an
I mean,
event.
that's fair. And you know what? I think the thing is, Jenny, if it's not for you, don't do it, girl. Like, don't do something that's going to make you feel any kind of way, because that's not going to bring your authentic Jenny forward. So if that's not the way that you're comfortable presenting yourself, then just don't do those things. Find your touches elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If that's not your space to do it, a name tag is a super subtle way to be able to say, yep, I'm a realtor. Even like wearing a shirt that says you're a realtor, or any KW shirt that's not saying like, ask me about buying and selling homes, right? But maybe it says real estate is contact sport, or any of even it just has the like a house on it, right? That projects that is a business you're in without saying pick me, pick me. But if you're not comfortable with that, just don't. That's okay. There's lots of opportunities for touches, and there's no wrong answer unless it's illegal, in which case please don't do it, and unless it's TCPA non-compliant. But if it's not something that you feel safe, comfortable, and respectable doing, just don't do it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I sounded offensive. I was being a
No.
little bit facetious and fun about it. Like it's just an uncomfortable spot for me. So I appreciate that, and it maybe just wasn't the spot for me to bring my business forward. I was there in a different capacity, representing the Lake Association, right? I wasn't
Sure.
a sales floor of any kind. Right. So yeah, thank you.
And I don't know what type, different events, and just I'm gonna throw a couple of ideas out there. Even things like we have like a neighborhood block party that is hosted by the neighborhood watch people, like the community organizer, HOA people. And I bring oh my gosh, what's the name of this game where you throw the bean bags? Cornhole. I bring cornhole boards that are branded cornhole boards because that's what I have. Again, I'm not saying, woohoo, real estate, come talk to me. But I brought
Mhm.
the boards and they say, you know, they're branded. So there's subtle ways like that where if you don't want it to be blatant and out there and in somebody's face necessarily that you're trying to put it out there, you can do that. But again, if it's not your comfort zone, don't feel like you are obligated to do any of those things.
But if I could,
Can
if
I-
I could comment just quickly
Yeah.
on that, like,
Mhm.
I have learned that I have got to be shameless in some of this. My buddy just invited me to a charitable thing they did for the church community where they rehabilitated like a building that wasn't being used anymore by the church and they turned it into a school for kids that have relatively special needs. Hi, I'm Jeff with Keller Williams. How you doing today? Like I have just been absolutely, and I mean, and I understand like kind of feeling dirty. I've realized the more and more I lean into it. Some lady was like, "Oh, you're with Keller Williams." And I was like, "Yeah," and it just led right into a conversation about real estate. So like, it's not that it's going to land every single time, but and at the same time, also trying to be respectful of other people's events. But like, I mean, my buddy even he was standing there when I did it, and he knew exactly what I was doing. So
And
Can
I
I
think
put some input in there
yeah,
too, Jenny? As far as the name tag goes, wear your name tag all the time.
everywhere. Yeah.
That way, it never feels like you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing because you always do it. Mhm.
and wear it upside down.
Wear it
Hmm.
upside down. It's a great conversation starter.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try. I'll
And-
try it. Thank
And another alternative is kind of almost playing off of what Jeff said there, is make it like, if you're gonna do it, make it kitschy and goofy. You know, you can, if it feels almost pushy to do it blatantly, then make it silly the way you do it, which
Mhm.
might be another kind of way to make it a little more comfortable for you. But you'll get there. You'll get to a point where you find that right fit for you. And I agree with Deborah, like wear your name tag everywhere because there's no wrong place to make that connection. And somebody might be looking with, you know, and happen to run into you at the grocery store or at that lake event. If you're not, just a second perspective here is if you're not displaying that this is your profession and somebody's looking for it, then it's a missed opportunity for them too, where you could have helped them, but because they didn't know, you weren't able to. So just a devil's advocate perspective for you. Take it all with a grain of salt and find what feels right for you. Okay. Thank you all for your input on that. That was a great discussion. Thank you very much. Also, Jennifer explained what a yappy hour is, and I'm pretty sure I need to investigate further. So me and my dogs will be exploring.
Yeah, wait.
Tony,
Is it in the chat? Because I want to know
yeah.
too. Would
Oh,
I
okay.
still
Well,
buy?
I'll read it in case anybody missed it. So
Okay.
yappy hour, any place like a bar or a brewery that allows people to have dogs. You bring the dogs and you sit and drink with the dogs and the dogs hang out and the people hang out and then they pay the bar tab. And then you have a donations bin set up for the local Humane Society. So love that. I love that
Yeah.
idea. Anything that I can do with my dogs, I'm so in.
Same. I like that.
Tony, I think this is in relation to open houses. So Tony has them sign up and then gives them a card with the QR code for feedback, and then that goes into a drawing for a gift card. Miriam's been wearing that realtor pin, always out there. Yeah, Juliana said, the people seeing your role, that's kind of like I was saying as well, like so that they know who you are and so that it's not missed opportunity for them. Courtney says just skip joining the board, just show up. Yeah, that works too. Okay, we've got buyer guide. So several people have thrown over there in the chitty chat some of their tips for open house. So thank you for doing that. Okay, we're gonna do another little exercise set here. Oh, for heaven's sake. So I want you to think about what we talked about in some of those different touches, and kind of your homework will be to go one level deeper, right? So you've identified this is what I want to do. So come up with who's going to bring the food, when am I going to do it, where are we going to do it? You don't necessarily have to have the where just yet, but start to come up with some of the details of what that's going to look like, the food, the location, the time of year you want to do these things, and start to map those things out. So what you don't end up doing is having, a real heavy fall season, and this definitely happens. I think we talked a little bit about it at the beginning of this call when we were talking about the bazillion touches that come through this time of year. Make sure you're not the person who's heavy loading in the fall and winter, and then you don't have any touches during the spring and summer. So make sure that you're kind of identifying where those things are going to fit into your calendar so that you are connecting throughout the year. Okay. All right. What we're going to do next is I want you to think for a minute about, let's say you have 200 contacts in your database, right? We know that having 201 contacts in your database makes you far more likely to become a capper within Keller Williams, to reach your cap and get to keep 100% of your gross income. So let's say you have 200 contacts in your database and you put them on this 36 touch plan, right? Because we know that it takes about 36 touches to get somebody to convert. How many touches is that each year? My mathematicians, I'm looking to you. You can use calculators, it's fine. So 200 contacts, sorry. 200
You were doing
contacts,
it.
36
Yeah,
touches.
sorry, you were doing it. Yep. 200 contacts, 36 touches.
I think somebody got it in the chat. Let's see.
7,200. Yeah.
7,200. So 7,200 touches to our database. I want you guys to come off mute. I want you all to tell us how you feel about that number. Like, give me one word. Let me have like 2 or 3 people come off, and tell me in one word how you feel about the number 7,200 touches.
Huge.
Deborah says it's huge.
I'm out.
Jeff, you muted too quickly. You have to say it
I'm
again.
out.
He's
I'm
out.
out.
Okay, we're overwhelmed. Wow, overwhelming. Anybody else? It's a lot, right? Okay, now I want you all to take a step back. Opportunity. Angela, I was hoping somebody would be like, ooh, look at all those people that I could connect with and all those connections I can make. Generally, the opinion is, whoa, buddy, that's a lot. That sounds super overwhelming. Turn off the fire hose. I'm biting my fingernails over here, right? That sounds kind of scary. So keep in mind, you don't have to talk to 7,200 people today. You don't have to talk to 7,200 people this week. You don't have to talk to 7,200 people this month or month, either way. So here's what I want you to do. Okay. I want you to look at 7,200 or whatever your magic number is, right? You can do the magic math after we get off the call, or maybe tomorrow, because some people sleep. I want you to take that 7,200 and I want you to take a step back and go, hey, this is my annual goal, right? I'm going to make 7,200 touches this year. Okay. Does it sound a little less frightening when it's 365 days than it does when it's just a number? Does that sound a little less overwhelming to anybody? Your breaths are a little less shallow. I'm not saying you're not still breathing like this, but maybe there's a deep breath or two in there somewhere. Okay. All right. So think about this as your 1-year goal. We're going to touch them all 36 times in the next year. I promise we're going to work backwards on this, and it's going to stay a little less scary, because every time you reach out to someone, you get to do 2 things. Okay. You get to deepen that relationship with them. Who likes to make relationships and get to know people? So you're benefiting them and you by deepening that relationship. And Every time that you touch and communicate with those folks, you get one step closer to achieving your big why, right? Does everybody have a big why? Have you all determined what that is? Okay. Zdenka, you know what that is. So you know that that you chat with those folks, that's one little baby step closer to that big why, that forever dream, that reason that you get out of bed in the morning, right? It's just a baby step. So think of it this way. If all of those 7,200 touches are steps towards your big why, do they feel a little less scary now? Because that means you only have to take itty bitty steps. If I told you you only get 4 steps to get to your big why, how does that sound? To me, that sounds overwhelming, right? But now I'm telling you, no, you can take 7,200 itty bitty little baby, tiny little barely a steppity steps. Now they're a little more, it's just a different flip of perspective, right? So let's backwards math it, because backwards math makes everything feel better, right? 7,200 was like, yee! Even though Miriam loves to talk to the people and start the conversation, it still sounds a little bit frightening. So let's just break it down backwards, right? So we're going to say our 200 people in our database. Those are our people that it's TCPA compliant. They've checked the box that says, yes, please reach out to me. Okay. We're going to take that number. Again, we're going to say it's 200. We multiply that number by 4. Okay. So 200 times 4. Anybody doing that math in their head? This one, I believe in you. You guys got this. Yes, 800. I saw the words. I didn't hear the words, but I saw them on your lips. 800, okay? All right, so 800, okay? Now I want you to think about that 800. You're going to make 800 phone calls. So we're going to make 7,200 touches, but remember, there are all kinds of different touches. But we're going to make 800 phone calls. Does that sound like a lot? Yes or no? Give me head nods or shakies. Yeah, it sounds like a lot to me too. I'm like, whew, that sounds like a lot. Okay, wait. Okay. Now, I want you to take our 800 and divide it by 12, because that's going to break us down to our month. So 800 divided by 12, what do we got? Where's my math wizards? 66. Okay. We should make a challenge based on that number. Okay, so we've got 66 touches we need to make each month. That doesn't sound quite so heavy anymore. Okay. Now, I want you to take that 66 and I want you to divide it by 4, because there's 4 weeks in a month, right? So divide the 66 by 4. If y'all haven't gotten your calculators out yet, I don't know what you're doing here. What do we got? We round up, just so you know.
16 and a half,
16.
All right,
yeah.
we're gonna call it 17, because 0.5 rounding up, all those rules they taught us in middle school. Okay, so 17. Okay, 17. 17 calls per week. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Okay, so I'm gonna call 17 people per week. Now I get to divide that by 5, because my weekends are for showings and contract negotiations and spending time with my family, right? So I'm only making these calls Monday through Friday. Or if you're only doing it Monday through Tuesday, divide it by 2, whatever that looks like for you, whatever your number is. So divide that 17 by the amount of days in the week that you're going to make calls. I'm going to say that's 5. Okay. So in our scenario with our 200 people, what number did that get us down to? Oh, Jeff says it got us to 4, right? Because we can't call 3.3 people. It doesn't work that way. Okay. 4 people a day. Raise your hand if you feel like you could make 4 phone calls in a day. Yeah? Phew! You guys got this, right? Okay. So 4 phone calls in a day sounds a lot less scary than the 800 that we started with. And the 72 is the same way. Those are going to break down, that 7,200 is for the whole year. So we can break that down by 12, right? That's 600. 600 per month. So if we break that down, right, we can divide that by 4 to get it to the week, right? That's 150. Guys, this is not a ton of context when we start to talk about the things like Jeff brought up, where we bring in that automation with our smart plans, and we've built some smart plans to be able to send out that messaging for us. Obviously, the phone calls are going to be you. The events are things you're going to put together. But the newsletters, some of the text messaging, the emails, those are things we can start to automate that's going to make that a little less of a lift for you, okay? Okay. Remember that there's other connections. So those smart plans, if you haven't connected Twilio, that's a great option to be able to send those automated texts and get those responses directly into your database. If y'all are not using smart plans yet and you need support on that, pop in on Thursday. We're going to talk more about that. Sorry, y'all. And there's also some great smart plan guides in Connect, so you can check those out. But break these things down. Find your number and backwards math it, y'all, because all of the numbers, no matter what the number is, for every single person, everybody goes, holy cow, that's a giant number, and it's big and it's scary, but it doesn't have to be. Do the backwards math to get to what is it a day, what is it a week, what is it a month, okay? So that's going to be your homework, is to figure out what that number is for you and what those connections look like. Before we round out our call today, as you all are aware, you've probably heard it once or twice, that these programs get better when we hear from the people who attend these programs. We want to make sure that our content is up to date and we have trainers who know a thing or two, who are teaching these courses. So please, please, please bust out your phones. Don't tell me you don't have it, because I won't believe you. I know what you people do for a living. Please go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen. Brad told us those are a great mofer. I'm mofering y'all. Bust out your phone, scan this QR code, and fill out that survey and let us know how we're doing. Let me know how I am doing, so that we can continue to provide you with the best content and the best folks to help you grow your businesses. I'm going to give you just a minute here to at least get into that. My name is up there on the screen. My name is Jamie Henley. I am not in the drop down yet. I'm working on that, friends. So again, Jamie Henley. So you'll need to say not in drop down, and you'll type that in. I'll even put it in the chat so you can copy and paste it, because copying and pasting is easier. Go back. It's not cooperating with me, you guys. And this, of course, is Ignite Session 12, as we are building those relationships. Okay. All right. If you have not wrapped that up, I am going to ask you to pause just for a moment and you can finish that up. I want to get a couple of ahas before we go. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see y'all. So share with me something you're going to take away from tonight's call that you are either it really hit the light bulb for you, or something you're going to be able to implement in your database to create those relationships.
I didn't know what a was it mofer? I didn't know what that was until tonight. So
All right. Jenny's
Yeah.
making some offers for immediate response going forward, because she knows how to mow for it.
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Love it.
I like that you said the 36 touch plans, having that for different, I think of like different circles, for friends or for open house leads. I haven't thought of it that way. So I'm excited to get into that and have different plans.
Love that. Love that. Thank you, Lisa. Can we get one more?
Do you think that the 7,200 touches, mathed out, when it just goes down to, 4 in a week, we can do that.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, yeah.
Jeff likes the backwards math. Me too, because I'm telling you, no matter what the number is, for everybody, it's a scary number because it is a big number. But once you break it down, You know, we eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's all you have to do is you only have to do a small amount of the things to get to those big numbers at the end. And each of those tiny baby steps moves you one step closer to that ultimate goal that you've got set for yourself. Thank y'all for jumping on with me tonight. Hopefully we'll be seeing y'all again tomorrow night as we move into session 13. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My name is Jamie Henley. My email is jamiehenley@kw.com. And I will go ahead and leave that QR code up on your screen so that if y'all did not get a chance to do the survey, you can. And I hope y'all have a fabulous evening. Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.